Chapter 21. A New Third. Susie sat uncomfortably on the couch at her house. In the same room, her mother, Thomas's father, Rafa's mother, and a police officer who had come to take the girl's statement about what had happened. After calling an ambulance to help her friends, the local police were called due to the strange injuries the two had sustained. At school, Susie managed to dodge questions about the incident, but now she had to say something. "So, Susie, can you tell me what happened to the boys?" the officer began. She was some kind of psychologist with a badge. "No, I don't know what happened." Susie paused briefly to go over what she had planned to say. "We stayed at school during the afternoon doing our activities and playing on the courts." Which wasn't uncommon at the school, but could be a problem if other students were questioned. "When it started getting dark, I left to go home, but halfway there, I realized I'd forgotten my notebook. So I went back, and when I arrived, I found them in the same condition you saw." It wasn't a very good lie, but it could have been much worse. She even put her notebook in Raphael's backpack to make it more believable. That was all she could come up with. Better than trying to invent an explanation for Tom's condition. That was inexplicable. "And on your way, you didn't see or hear anything?" The officer wrote something down in her small notebook. "No, everything was normal." After the Chantanin was captured, everything really was normal. No destruction, no trail of blood in the courtyard, no signs of fire. But the trees hadn't forgotten their part. "Are you sure you didn't see or hear anything? Anything at all? A sound, a shadow?" the officer asked, a bit more emphatically as she continued her notes. "I'm sure I didn't see anything strange on the way back to school," Susie replied confidently. "And when you left them, were they okay? No argument?" "No, they get along really well. There's no way they would have fought." "No chance of a fight between them. Maybe about something from the past. Sometimes these things happen because of old issues." The officer looked calmly at the girl. "Not at all. They didn't fight. And even if they had, there's no way they could have hurt each other like that," Susie replied emphatically. The mood in the room was tense. 2 children had been attacked, and no one had any idea how it had happened. What could have given the police a clue were the street and school security cameras, but none of them had recorded anything all afternoon, only starting to work again after Susie called for help. The 2 boys were relatively okay. Raphael had come out of the fight with the Chantanin, with minor burns on his hands, a large but superficial cut on his abdomen, bruises, scrapes, and a cracked rib. He would remain hospitalized today to treat his injuries and ensure his condition didn't worsen. Tom's condition was more serious. His arms had several second-degree burns. Cuts of varying lengths and depths mutilated his hands, legs, and torso. He had lost a lot of blood, and the shock from the event had put him in a comatose state. After a few more questions that led nowhere, the officer left Susie's house, accompanied by Tom's and Rafa's parents. She knew the girl knew more than she was saying, but it wasn't the right time to get those answers. Before Susie went up to her room, her mother gave her the tightest hug she had felt in a long time. She was just glad that nothing had happened to her daughter. "You're really okay, sweetheart?" her mother asked, worried. "I'm fine, but I'm worried about them." She didn't like lying, but what had seemed to distract her mother over the past week didn't work today. "All right, you must be tired from everything that happened. Go rest. But if you remember anything, you'll tell me, okay?" "I will, Mom." She felt sad for lying to her, but what other choice did she have? "You know you can always talk to me about anything, right?" Her mother smiled as she ran her fingers through Susie's hair. "I know, Mom. Thanks." Susie smiled back. "But I need to rest. Good night." She went upstairs to her room. After a long shower, Susie put on her cat pajamas, which even had a cute hood with ears, and flopped onto her bed. She lay there for a few seconds, remembering the fight with the beast and all the absurd things she had seen. The events of the past week were crazier than the wildest dream she could remember. It felt like much more than just 7 days had passed. As she started to get comfortable to sleep, her phone rang. It was still early, but she didn't get calls very often. She answered. It was April. "Hi, April, good night," she answered, a bit surprised. "Good night, Susie. I heard what happened to your friends. Are you okay?" Susie couldn't believe it had spread so quickly, and even more that April was calling. "Yeah, I'm fine. Nothing happened to me." Was it really serious? How's Tom? At the time, Susie didn't think anything strange about her classmates' interest in Tom, just curiosity about his health. Later, she'd find April's probing a bit suspicious. "I don't know, but I think it was serious, yeah. Now we just have to see what the doctors say." She began sliding under the covers. "Hopefully it's nothing too bad." April's voice sounded concerned. "Yeah. And how did you find out they got hurt?" Susie asked, curious. Not much time had passed since they had defeated the Shantanin. "I was in the school library when I heard the sirens. It wasn't too hard to figure out what had happened after that." "I see. But I'm glad you're okay. Talk tomorrow?" "No, I'm staying home tomorrow, but I'll be back to school on Wednesday." She planned to visit her friends the next day. "All right. If you need anything, just call. Okay?" "Okay. Thanks for worrying." "Of course. Bye." April hung up, and Susie got ready to sleep. Today was one of those days when she also wanted to fall asleep and wake up in another world. A not-so-dangerous one. Mandy is sprawled on her bed, watching TV upside down, her straight black hair cascading over the side of the bed to the floor, sleek without a hint of frizz. The muffled sound of footsteps coming from the hallway can be heard even with the TV on. The volume is not loud. It's easy to recognize her father's footsteps. They're always hurried and heavy. He knocks on the door and waits. "Come in, Dad." She remains sprawled on the bed in the same position. He opens the door looking worried. On second thought, that's his normal look, but his eyes seem deeper and heavier. He must have had a tough day. "Sweetie, I don't want you staying at school after class for a while." That's quite an unusual request coming from him, so Mandy questions him, as curious as always. "Why? What happened?" "Two classmates of yours got hurt today, and they don't think it was an accident. So I want you home early." Upon hearing the news, she doesn't need to ask which classmates, but she wants to be sure. "And do you know who got hurt?" she asks, worried. "Yes, Thomas and Raphael are their names. You must know them." "I do. Shit. Now I'll be up all night worrying. Before, I could pretend it had happened to someone else. So, until this gets resolved, you stay home." "Okay," she replies curtly. Her father leaves the room and goes back to his chores, muttering that it's just one more thing to worry about. He really did seem more stressed than usual. Mandy knows that the trio is involved in something, but she never thought they could get hurt. And for her dad to come and say she shouldn't be out at night, the boy's situation must be serious. He's not the overprotective type of father. Always gave his daughter plenty of freedom. She grabs her phone and starts texting her cousin. She needs to talk to her about this. Mandy is surprised to see that April had already sent her several pieces of information about the incident. She, being distracted, hadn't noticed the notifications. The first messages are photos of the front of the school. From the images, Mandy can clearly see that Tom's situation is serious, as they show her ex-fling lying on the grass, near the trees in the courtyard, surrounded by a pool of blood. Her heart races and her hand trembles, dropping the phone. The impact of the device hitting the bedroom floor pulls her out of darker thoughts. After taking a deep breath, Mandy adjusts herself, sits on the floor and goes back to looking at the image of the boy. If someone told her he had died and showed her that photo, she'd believe it. Mandy recognizes the tree closest to Thomas. It was where they broke up, and that drags her even further down. Did it really have to be right there? She keeps reading the messages. Ma! Tom's all fucked up. No clue what happened yet, but I'll figure it out. The other boy seems hurt too." After those messages, another photo now showing Rafa sitting on the bench with Susie helping him. "Were you there when it happened?" she sends and anxiously waits for her cousin's reply, which doesn't take long. "I was. When I got ready to go home, I went to check the weather and there was no one in the courtyard. Then I went to take one more peek and..." She sends a mystery sticker. "Poof! They were just there. Mandy has no reason to doubt April, but it's very suspicious to be true. As she starts typing, she remembers the same thing happened when leaving class earlier. One moment the three of them were in the hallway, and the next they were gone. Tomorrow we're visiting them. Maybe we can squeeze Susie for info. She's got to know something. After sending it, she starts questioning whether it's a good idea to get even more involved. Before Mandy can berate herself, her cousin replies, "Let's go." Then she sends a picture of a black cat with blue eyes sitting at her window. Isn't he cute? He's been hanging around here a lot lately. We'll talk more later. Mandy drops the phone on the floor, grabs the remote to turn off the TV and gets up. She needs to know what happened. She's way too worried about Tom and, on top of that, her curiosity is exploding so much that she thinks she won't be able to sleep properly. Which doesn't happen. As soon as she lies down, she falls asleep. Tiana runs out of college and heads to the hospital. She dropped everything the moment she got the news. Her parents are in the room where her brother was admitted unconscious. The sister imagines what led him to end up like that, but she can't say anything to the family. Arthur leaves the hospital to accompany Susie's statement, as does Rafa's mother. Taking advantage of the fact that the redhead is now alone in his room, she heads there. She needs answers. The girl enters Raphael's room right after the policewoman who came to question him about the event leaves. By the frustrated look on the woman's face, the boy doesn't seem to have been very helpful. The little one pulls up a chair and sits close to the bed. "Hey, you look like hell." She wanted to lighten the mood a bit. He looks terrible, and not just because of the beating. "If you'd seen the beast, I don't know how I didn't end up in a coffin," he says, a little relieved because despite everything, they made it through. Not to mention he's pretty doped up. That dangerous? She had heard Tom's description of the Chantenine, but it's not the same as seeing it face to face. Imagine a tiger. A tiger is already huge and dangerous, right? The girl just nods. To her, a big cat is already huge and dangerous. Now imagine a tiger bigger than a car, intelligent and magical. That's the level. And how did you manage to escape? Escape? No, he says proudly. We wrecked that bastard. Tiana is surprised. They not only survived, but won. Tell me how it went, she asks curiously. Raphael roughly recounts how the event went. He says he doesn't really know what Tomas did at the end, because he was already unconscious. We got lucky that the beast was kind of dumb, I don't know. He didn't go all in and got distracted by Susie a few times. Incredible how you managed to protect her. Tiana never thought she'd care about chivalry or that kind of attitude in real life, but seeing the two risk themselves for their friend makes her proud of them. Without Susie there, we'd have been dead. So we kept distracting the Chantenine while she figured out the spell to end it. He sighs. I wish I'd seen the finale. All I know is what she said. It was a close call. And is that injury really bad? It could be worse, but it was worth it. You should have seen it. He smiles. When I grabbed Tom's shirt, which was on fire, and went for it. He starts gesturing to show the action but quickly gives up. Everything hurts, even with medication. So that's how Tom got burned. Yeah, he set the beast on fire, but it caught him too, and the flames wouldn't go out for anything. Tiana remembers the incident in the vacant lot. Unfortunately, they can't continue the conversation because Rafa's father enters the room. The man left work as quickly as he could, but due to traffic, it took him a while to get there. The little one says goodbye to the two and heads home. Someone needs to take care of Yoda. The next day, Tiana wakes up early for the first time in a long time. Her parents had come back at dawn and must be sleeping. She sends a message to Susie. She'll pick her up soon so they can go to the hospital together to see Tomas and talk. Her sister starts getting ready, sad. Visiting her brother in the hospital isn't exactly exciting. She feeds Yoda, who's already desperate. It's been almost a day since he last got a treat. Around 8 o'clock, she leaves to pick up Tsukimoto. Her friend is already waiting in front of her house. She looks fine, not the happiest face in the world, but no injuries. Without wasting time, the Asian girl gets into the car and hugs Tiana tightly. She's happy to see her again. Susie's mother had always been a good friend of Tom's family, since they were little, always visiting each other's homes. Even with the age difference, there was no difference in height, so the two always got along well. "Hey, Sue, I'm happy to see you too." She looks into Susie's eyes. She starts to tear up. "It was terrible, T. I thought I was going to die." She sobs a little. Tiana says nothing for a while, just keeps her friend in her arms until she calms down a bit. Susie was never a crybaby, even when she was little and got hurt. Maybe this is the third or fourth time she's seen her cry. Noticing that her friend calmed down, she speaks again. "But everything turned out okay, didn't it?" She strokes her head. "I don't know how, but it did." She smiles through tearful sobs. "Rafa told me you had the most important role." She tries to cheer her up. "Important nothing. If it wasn't for the boys, I'd have died first." She wipes her face. "Everyone did what they had to, I'm sure. No one was less important. Now let's go see Tom." She starts the car for the hospital. "Yeah, but distract me until we get there. I don't want to keep remembering how it was." "Well then, did you know I'm supposed to move soon?" The news jerks Susie's thoughts away from yesterday's horrors. "It's pretty unexpected." "Really? But why?" Surprised. "The architect who handles my mum's office is leaving, so I'm going to start taking care of things, watching my mum work. Since I'm almost done with college, it's time." "So you want to live closer to the office? Makes sense." "It's not very far, about 40 minutes from home, but every day? I don't want that. Besides, it's time to have my own place." "Your place that your parents are going to give you, right?" her friend teases. "How I got it doesn't matter. What matters is it's going to be mine." She laughs. It doesn't take long for them to arrive at the hospital. Visiting hours start at 9, so the two stayed a while longer in the garden in front of the building, catching up on gossip. For Susie, being with her friend is what she needs, to forget what happened, even if just for a while. When it's time, they go to Tom's room. There they find Rafa sitting in a wheelchair. The redhead isn't so bad, so he's allowed to take some laps until he's discharged. "What are you doing here? Don't you have a room just for you?" Susie asks, seeing him sitting by the unconscious friend while flipping through the channels on the hospital room TV. "Hey, ease up on a guy who's recovering." His speech is slower and more sluggish than usual. It hurts a bit when he talks. He turns off the TV. "How was it with the cop yesterday? Did she question you a lot?" "It was normal, I guess. I don't know if I was convincing." She complains, annoyed. "I don't think I did very well either. I just said I didn't know what happened. That when I woke up, I was like this, with you helping me. I don't know if we can hide things for much longer, but talking won't help either. They wouldn't believe it." Susie sighs as Tiana adds, "I don't know how they didn't notice before. You guys got into a lot of trouble last week." "Your parents didn't notice anything because I didn't let them." Tom speaks in a strange voice. The three friends scream in fright upon hearing Thomas talking. "Tom, you woke up, man?" Raphael asks, surprise all over his face as he looks at his friend lying there, still and with his eyes still closed. "No, Tom hasn't recovered yet. His mind is now wandering through Zara. So I took the opportunity to talk to you." "I don't believe it. Is it really the mage?" Susie covers her mouth as if she said something she shouldn't. "Yes," he answers, a bit disheartened. If his eyes were open, the three would see them rolling, confirming something so obvious annoys him. "I need your help." "Our help?" Tiana asks. From what little she knows, the mage is the one least likely to need help here. "Yes. I know Tom is hiding something. I don't know how, but I suspect it. He'd never have been able to perform the spell that trapped the Shantanin without help." "Yes, we helped," Rafa answers emphatically. "Not that kind of help. The control that spell requires is very high. He'd never manage it, so I know something happened, even if I can't find it in his memories." "But aren't you the same person? That shouldn't be possible," Susie asks. "And it's not, but when it comes to deities, things get messy. That's why I need your help. Tell me the truth. Tom talked to Shad, didn't he?" The three don't answer immediately. Tiana doesn't know what the mage is talking about, but Susie and Rafa do. "Yeah, he did." Rafa decides it's better to come clean. Shit! The mage seems truly frustrated. She must have blessed him, which wasn't all bad, because without that you'd all be dead now. But I can't exactly be happy about it either. Is this Shad that bad? The sister asks, still kind of lost. You have no idea. I thought she wouldn't be able to influence things here, but I was wrong. And why are our parents noticing things now? Rafa asks. For him, it's important that the lapse in perception about these fantastic events happens again. He can't keep lying for long. There are some spells engraved in my bones, like runes. You know runes, right? Like engraved in the bones? Tiana has known her brother forever, and no one in the family ever noticed anything like that. It's not like the kid never had an X-ray. Yes, engraved in my bones, there are several spells. The mage's voice is tired. Maybe because his body is weakened, or because he has to give this kind of explanation. One of them manipulates the perception of important things. And why did it stop working? Tiana asks. She doubts nothing anymore. Magic bones? Sure. Reality warping. Just another Tuesday. Because the magic from yesterday overloaded my body, those effects ceased, but gradually they'll return. Rafa and Susie breathe a little easier. You should be worried about Shad, the mage warns. Who is she exactly? Tiana continues. Shad was my original deity before I managed to travel through space and reincarnate. He pauses, thinking about how to tell the three. I, that is, Tom, am the last living person who possesses Shad's gift. But what does that matter? Can't she give her gift to someone else? In theory, yes. Deities are mysterious. Each one seems to obey certain rules. Nothing is very certain. So, I don't know if she simply doesn't want to or can't do that. And what do you need from us? Susie asks, serious. The main thing you already told me. Shad is somehow already manipulating your lives. Now you need to keep an eye on the things that are changing. Like what? You know, yesterday was... He stops speaking as if someone unplugged him. Rafa shakes Tom, calling for the mage. He does that a few times until Susie tells him to stop because their friend is as injured as he is. A few moments later, Mandy and April enter the room. The two stop at the door, a little surprised. They didn't expect to find so many people there. The three also look at the two in shock. No one could have imagined Mandy and April visiting Tom.